Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another beer review. Tonight we're going to do a little bit of a double review. One of Stevens Point Brewery's Point IPA, which I believe is actually just a UK release. I had a look on their website and they've got their IPAs called Beyond the Pale, the American one, and that's hopped with Galaxy, which sounds pretty awesome. While this one is Magnum Pearl. And I want to say Cascade. I was just looking at it. I think it's Cascade, or it might be Centennial. So that one's got that one from a supermarket. They've just started stocking it in a few places in England. So I want to give it a try. And the other one, this is a little sample bottle of a double IPA that I brewed a couple of weeks, about a month ago now. So it's conditioned for a little while and it's been dry hopped and blah blah blah. So another little homebrew review for you all as well. So just a bit of a critique of my own homebrewing, to say the least. Right, so let's crack open this Point IPA. Oops. Nice little bit of smoke coming out the top, and I got a little schooner from a friend, one of the Brewdog ones, because they saw them and thought, oh, you'll love that, and it's just right for the bottles of beer, for the 330ml, although this is 355 because it's American. So pour that out, and the head is getting quite big on that, but as you can see, it's quite a delightful, exceptionally clear, deep copper sort of colour, and the head is actually quite off-white. It's almost khaki-esque. It is quite dark for I'd expect it to be a lot whiter, should we put it that way. Awesome. So that looks pretty good. There's a nice level of carbonation as well. Let's get a nose on it while we've still got a nice bit of head, and give it a good old smell. Oops, dipping my nose in again. You know what, it actually smells pretty good. There's a nice level of pine and citrus to it. Does smell pretty standard in terms of American IPAs, but that isn't necessarily a bad thing at all. I can smell a bit of sweetness too, like a caramelly, light, sugary sort of smell. And overall, it does, yeah, it smells pretty good. It does smell pretty good. Judging by smell alone, this one should be pretty good, to be honest. So, cheers everybody, let's give it a try. Alright, okay, yeah. Nice, medium body. Goes a little bit watery towards the end, actually, in the aftertaste. Good level of carbonation, and it's got quite brutal first little taste. It's quite astringent from the get-go. I kind of immediately get bitterness down the tongue and through the palate. And I can tell there's probably a nice little level of IBUs in this one. So it definitely kind of knocks it into the IPA class, I should say. Oh, I forgot to mention ABV again. I do this all the time. This is 5.6%. So it's got a nice little kick to it. In terms of flavour, you kind of get that little bit of sweet, caramelly, malty flavours. Nice and subtle at the beginning, and then that kind of develops into those citrus and pine characters I was talking about. It's certainly very drinkable. Very drinkable indeed, actually. I could see myself drinking quite a few of them. And I think it fits the niche of an American IPA. I mean, perhaps an American IPA might be a little bit more bombastic than this one, especially from some of the really well-respected breweries. Well, this one's a little bit, I guess, a little bit reined in a certain sense. Like Sierra Nevada's Pale Ale probably compares to this very, very well. And, you know, that's considered pale as opposed to an IPA. I guess the bitterness in this one knocks it up to IPA in their eyes. I definitely like it, and it's definitely good and drinkable. Probably going to give it a nice 7.5 out of 10, because I get nice hoppy citrus and pine notes in it. It's a good mouthfeel initially, but it does get a little bit watery towards the end. I can definitely see myself having more than one of these. It's certainly very enjoyable. I like it. Doesn't break particularly any boundaries. Doesn't break it. There's nothing particularly bad about it. No, there's nothing bad about it at all, really. Very good. Very nice. Yeah, pretty good. So I like that one. I like that one. We shall certainly be finishing the bottle of that. Cool. Right, next one, my own little homebrew. Sorry, I had to do a little cut there because of my eternal wisdom and majesty. I completely forgot to get another glass for my own homebrew, so I've already poured it out. I was going to say I don't fine or filter any of my beers. Obviously, filtering is a bit more difficult at home, so they always do turn out a bit cloudy. So this was my first attempt at this recipe for a double IPA. I thought when I was fiddling around and looked at, I used like a recipe that's online as a kind of bit of a guide. I thought I might have used quite a bit too much in specialty malts, but I thought, nah, go with it, why not? And yeah, it has come out quite a bit darker than I wanted it to. There's certainly a little bit of the edge of crystal malt to it. It has that sort of crystal malt look. It's just a little bit too much of it. It's gone that much darker. In fact, if I hold up the point, if I'd used an amount less, so if I used maybe like 3 to 5% perhaps, I might have got something more in colour, more in line with the Stevens Point. I forgot the name then. Stevens Point IPA. So I'm not too fussed about that. Obviously, the haze on it is because I haven't used any finings in it. That's fine as well. Totally acceptable. This is just for my own drinking. Lovely, nice bit of head on it as well. There was quite a lot of carbonation in the bottle, so perhaps just a tiny bit of over priming. Again, not a massive issue. Just rein that one back. The reason why perhaps had a little bit of a priming issue is because this one I got a new boiler to use with this one. So this is I borrowed some equipment from work, and the boiler was actually a lot more effective at boiling than I realised it was, so it kind of artificially increased my final gravity. So when I was aiming for 1072, I managed to get, 1076, I actually managed to get 1080. So kind of went up a bit. So the original gravity of this was 1080 and it went down to 1022, which equals out about 8.2% ABV, which is a little bit higher than I wanted, but that's fine. So colour-wise it looks alright, and the head's sticking around as well. It's got a nice little bit of lacing, so can't deny with that at all. So let's get a nose and give it a smell. Oh. I know, it does smell good. I will give myself that, pat myself on the back for that. This one is a single hop Centennial. Sorry, no, it's not a single hop at all. I'm lying entirely. I've used 2 hops in this one, just for bittering, and then Centennial. I used Magnum, Magnum for bittering, German Magnum, and I used Centennial for flavour and for aroma as well. So only 2 hops used in this, but obscene amounts. I mean, I'm talking ounces and ounces and ounces of hops. Now the aroma is just hit me as it's really pungent Centennial, and I like that a lot. By which I mean there is a nice bit of pine, but there's this sweet, citrusy, tangerine-y, satsuma-y. It's like a really sweet, orangey sort of smell, and I like that a lot. It's really good. It's a really good aroma. I couldn't ask anything more than that. I really hoped it would turn out as pungent as this, and it has done. So in terms of dry hopping and aroma hopping, I think I've pretty much nailed it with that. I like that. It's good. Okay, so cheers everyone, let's give it a try. Oh yeah, there's certainly some flavour in that as well. At 8.2 you'd hope there would be. There's a big initial hit, and because I use quite a lot of crystal on this, it's a very crystal-y flavour. It's like that caramelised, sweet, toffee-esque flavours. Perhaps a little bit too much, or maybe one would have wanted a slightly more reserved malt body to let the hops sing a little bit. There's a good defined bitterness through it though, that kind of cuts across the sweetness. And there is a real punch as well of the Centennial flavours too, so I'm getting that sweet orangey, there's always a little bit of floral notes to it as well, and a bit of quite a lot of pine, I should say. So the flavours haven't gone too badly wrong, I don't think. I was aiming for mega IBUs as well, because it is a very strong percentage, so I went for over 100. I think I leveled out about 110 when I worked out my calculations for it. So it is very stringent bitter, but that's what I was aiming for. Maybe I had an initial sample bottle that I tried, and that was unbelievably harsh, very green, but it's conditioned for a little bit longer now, and it seems to have just cooled itself off a little bit. The mouthfeel is pretty good as well. It's quite chunky and medium. And again, that's sort of developed but there is a little bit of water. It is perhaps a little bit watery on the back end, so I might maybe put some. I'll start again. I've been thinking for a while to put torrefied wheat in the homebrews just to increase head retention, a little bit of extra protein for body, and that sort of thing. And this is probably a good example of a beer that would need it. The high ABV does help it a bit, but I think that ABV, the body you get from having high alcohol, it's an initial onrush and then it gets waterier as it goes on if there's not any backing proteins in it. So there is a nice chunky mouthful beginning, but it's a bit watery towards the end, and I'll need a little bit more to help it out. So as a first attempt with new kit for this one, I had a new mash tun and hot liquor tank as well. So it's been like a whole new kit homebrew thing, which is great. It's brilliant. Actually, I'm really quite pleased with this. I really am quite pleased. A few little tweaks I might do here and there, and that's fine. But it's a good base recipe that I'll try again, different varieties. Actually, I am pretty pleased with how it's come out, including the limitations that I knew I would probably have as well. So yeah, you know, I'll give myself a full 10 out of 10 for this. It's the most amazing beer I've ever tried in my entire life. But thank you for watching me. If you have watched all the way through my rambling about a homebrew, I know it's not some major brewery, not going to be like, people aren't going to be googling like Jack's homebrew, beer reviewers homebrew, but it's just interesting, a little bit of self-critique, and if anyone wants to try any bottles of it, I shall attempt to send them, but I fear that it'll probably burst in the post. But yeah, thank you ever so much for watching Bear Beer Reviews. Please comment, like, favourite, subscribe, tell me what you think of. It's wonderful. I've forgotten the name again, Stevens Point IPA if you have tried it, and if you've tried my homebrew, then you are a liar because you haven't tried my homebrew, because I'm the only one who has. And until next time, cheers.